Oh my god. Why did no one tell me about this? So, director of the original Final Fantasy game apparently has confirmed that this year we will that we'll be getting more news on Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2. But I'm literally just now, listen, I was getting out of bed, I did yoga, I went to the gym, I came back, and then all of a sudden I watched a YouTube video like saying that it's confirmed that we're getting more news on Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2. So I mean, I'm pretty excited, but I'm pretty mad at the same time because this news came out like 10 days ago. I'm recording this on the 11th, and this news came out like back in Jan. So like, honestly, I think it's just because I've been so fixated on when Final Fantasy 16 news was gonna release. But hey, man, at least I know now.
It's happening! It's finally fucking happening!
A little disclaimer here, these are literally just my predictions. I'm not really saying what will happen in the second remake because, I mean, I haven't played the fucking game, let alone know the release date. So these are just my predictions. I'm just letting my mind run. This isn't a review. This isn't what's to come. I'm just saying what's on my mind. With that being said, let's get into the predictions. If you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, you know that Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge are dead for sure. But after having played the remake, you notice how Biggs and Wedge are actually still alive. But Jesse is still dead for sure. But who knows? Maybe the second part of the remake will bring Jesse back in some way. Maybe there's some materia that we just don't know of yet, or that's going to be added to the series as a whole. We just don't know. But the fact that Tetsuya Nomura made the decision to bring back Biggs and Wedge is actually kind of exciting because it's not a shot-for-shot remake of the original game. Because here's how I see it, right? I didn't really like Kingdom Hearts 3 story-wise. Gameplay, it was actually not. It was still kind of bad. And I didn't really care for Final Fantasy 15. I thought the story was kind of morbid. It was just kind of dry. I didn't really like it that much as the other games in the series, at least. So Tetsuya Nomura actually made a pretty jump the gun sort of approach to this story because this isn't the ending we're very familiar with from, you know, the original. Because in the original, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge are completely dead. They're erased from the story. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't played the Final Fantasy VII original game yet, well, that's kind of on you. It's been out for 25 years. What are you doing? But anyways, I think now that Biggs and Wedge are back into the story, at least for the remake, they're gonna have some major part to them. Maybe Biggs isn't aware of Jesse's death yet, and then he's finally informed in part 2. I know Wedge knows already because he's been alive longer than Biggs has, or because we only see Biggs wake up at the very end of the game. So maybe that affects Biggs in some way because Biggs and Jesse, you know, I guess they had some kind of like, you know, friendship, and that might affect Biggs in some way. Maybe he might go soldier too. Who knows? Maybe he'll pick up maybe not the Buster Sword, but maybe some kind of weapon. Then he'll like team up with Cloud and make, you know, some kind of dynamic duo team or some shit like that. I don't know. I don't see Wedge doing anything that important, but he could still be an integral part to the story because, I mean, he's alive. They wouldn't keep him alive for no reason. Or maybe they will. I don't know how these people write their stories anymore. And as for Sephiroth, okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not really all for Sephiroth in the remake either because he shows up way too much for my liking, at least. Because the way the original does it, they kind of show him sometimes, like not too much, but just enough so that you know he's there. And then they just savor that moment until the very end. They have that huge buildup, and then you hear. So you're like, oh shit, it's him. But the fact that you fight Sephiroth at the end of the first part of the remake is, I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about it. It didn't feel like an ending because, I mean, it's not like you defeated him. Yeah, the game said you did, but he's still alive. And it's not like he dies at the end of the original, but it felt more of a closing statement. It felt more of closure. I don't know if we would have Sephiroth as a boss again in the second part of the remake because we already had him as like the last boss in the first part. So maybe he has like a whole army now and we have to fight him alongside with Avalanche, Biggs, Wedge, and whoever comes along. I know Yuffie is soon to be coming to the team, Avalanche, because 1, that's what happened in the original game, and 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade has introduced that character to the public that doesn't really know about Yuffie. So I can see those two games coinciding in the second part because that's technically disc 2. And this is actually kind of crazy, but I had this idea. What if Marlene somehow has more of a role in this. I know Marlene's a very, very side character, but who knows? Maybe she has some kind of role to play in the second part too. Because, okay, I'm going crazy right here. I'm going berserk because we got an ending that we're just not familiar with. So anything can happen. The charts are just off the table. The rules have changed now. But yeah, I think that's all I have as much as predictions go. I'm very excited to see what's to come for the second part of the remake, and I've actually been thinking of doing more Final Fantasy related content since that's technically all I talk about, you know, in the Discord VC. So thanks for hearing me rant about absolutely nothing. Here's a clip of me having an orgasm after seeing that Earthbound is coming to the Switch. See you later.
Oh, online.
What do we got?